tendonitis in his right leg. Now it's spreading, both legs.
This is a bizarre one, man.
I don't know what. I've never heard of this.
I guess because you compensate. You overcompensate because of the injury, so it affects the other. Yeah, kinetic chain.
Schefter saying there's
you can get tendonitis in both legs.
I know. Maybe it just was discovered.
Dr. Wright is
Schefter saying there's a, quote, major question.
Oh my God. We're going to let this clip play, but yeah, that's what happens when you overcompensate and you start to get tendonitis and inflammation and all of that type of stuff. Both Achilles were probably on the verge of kind of, breaking in that regard of crossing that threshold where now you will have technically tendonitis. So there's nothing bizarre about this whatsoever. This is all par for the course. So the fact that they're even laughing at this or that they don't understand it is just, nonsensical.
On when he will return, here's Kyle Shanahan.
During the time, he's had it in both. I think it started in one. You get it overcompensated, went to the other, but
exactly.
Mainly one of them has just been bothering, but he's had it in both.
Kyle, have you had a chance to talk to Christian about the treatment and if he's feeling any better at all?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Can the 49ers win the Super Bowl without CMC?
Just real quick, maybe we all overestimate how often head coaches talk to their star players. And Devontae's like, have you talked to Antonio? He was like, no. Kyle, have you talked to Christian? No. Again, maybe that just shocks me.
Well, look, I think the Raiders thing is totally different than this situation. He went overseas, right, for treatment.
Because calls are 25 cents a minute.
And Kyle has been coaching the team, and I'm sure he's in contact with the trainers, the doctors, everybody else.
How you doing?
Not good. All right, to answer this question, no, I don't think they can. Not with this defense and the other issues they have on the team. I think Brock Purdy's played really well this year. I think that he passes the bar of, like, can this guy be the quarterback of a team who wins Super Bowl? He's played at that level this year. No, I don't think they can. And I also am proposing a new rule for the show.
Okay.
Because I think right now people are a little high on the Niners' supply because of the last game. I think for good or for bad, every game played against the New England Patriots this year gets thrown out. I think it made the Jets think they were awesome. Yeah. The Bengals, they stink. Yeah. The Seahawks are very mediocre. And I just think the Patriots are just the outlier team of the year, and it's a house of mirrors result no matter what it is. So I'm just throwing it out.
It's not unfair.
Sorry.
It's confusing.
I don't think they will win the Super Bowl. Obviously, I picked Green Bay in the NFC. But I'm not going to write them off and say they couldn't. Because they have everybody else back. All the Kittle and Debo's back now. Juwan Jennings obviously is emerged. I mean, Brandon Ayuk needs to wake up and start playing better. But Purdy, like you said, Nick is throwing it well. The defense is has not been as good. But still, I mean, the talent is there. And Jordan Mason, he's not the receiver that McCaffrey is, obviously. And I'm not even saying he's as good of a runner. But he is second in the NFL in rushing. He's got 33 yards less than Derrick Henry. He's averaging 4.9 yards a carry. So, I don't think they will. But I do think they're still a contender, like in that group.
Yeah, I definitely think they can. And to your point, if we just bring up Mason's production here, if you look at where they were, so it's a little bit less yards per carry, but he's got more yards per game. You see where the difference is reception-wise. So you lose receptions from McCaffrey. Now, how is that translated through the first 4 games? If you look at it, if we go to the next slide here, if you look at the overall production, it's not that different. Total yards per game is the second. What's most surprising is they're better through 4 games throwing the ball without McCaffrey than they were with McCaffrey. So I think the real issue is in the red zone, not having him as a threat.
Yeah,
that's where
because they haven't scored. Right, they've only thrown 5.
That's where you see the drop off. But the actual production, they've done a pretty good job.
You guys called the guys.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so listen. Let's get to it. Okay. Obviously, that clip kind of ended abruptly. But so, yeah, can the 49ers win the Super Bowl without Christian McCaffrey? I think yes. Are they obviously as dominant and as great of a team without Christian McCaffrey? Absolutely, positively not. That's just the reality of the situation. But the truth is right now, and this obviously changes for me week to week. It really does because we're just so early on in the season. 1 minute I think a team is a juggernaut. The next minute I'm like, I don't know. 1 minute I think, there's many great teams that I'm like, I don't know. And I think the 49ers I think they're one of many teams who are really not perfect. There's really just no perfect teams right now, and it really feels this is what I had predicted at the beginning of this season, but my prediction ended up being accurate, but the reason why I thought it was going to be was completely wrong. I thought we were going to have all these teams, so many of these teams being so great and playing such great, awesome, high level football that it was going to be like, man, any given Sunday. And now what I'm seeing more than anything is obviously a lot of these teams have the ability to play great, but there's a lot of issues that are constantly all these teams are really dealing with, right? The 49ers are dealing with Christian McCaffrey and Brandon Ayuk and even Debo going in and out of the lineup and Kittle, right? Like kind of all these issues. The Chiefs, they obviously have all their injuries, but yet they're still winning. So it's kind of like, well, will that run out eventually? What's going on? Patrick Mahomes is looking awful. You have the Detroit Lions, right? They put up some big points against Seattle, but then they also had a couple like really rocky, questionable games. The Minnesota Vikings are rolling as well, but it's like they will eventually, they're not going to just go undefeated. So when they lose, it's going to be like, well, why did they lose? What happened? Did Sam Darnold look awful? Was the defense not as great as it did earlier, right? So it's like you have to learn a little bit more about those defects. Although obviously they're cruising, so it's been a little bit harder. The Eagles, right? They're dealing with so many different various injuries, and so they're not looking great right now. The Falcons should be a lot better than I think that they are playing, but it's like, so what's going on with them? The Saints started off hot, right? You get what I'm saying. The Buffalo Bills 3-0, boom, get rocked by the Ravens, but then the Ravens lose to the Raiders and lose to the Chiefs, and almost blow a big lead to the Cowboys. So this has been like just like a messy year. Green Bay Packers are a great team, but like the Jordan Love goes down, and yet they still are able to win games. And now Jordan Love's back, but it was like one game, his first game back after being injured, and it's like, okay, how do we evaluate that now? So it's a messy story right now. And so I go through all of that just to say that the 49ers are just one of the messy stories with all the other teams. So there's no reason for me to doubt their ability to win a Super Bowl because they're playing with everyone else right now, right? It's equal footing at the end of the day, right? If the Chiefs were full strength, right? If the Lions really hit the ground running from week one, if the Green Bay Packers weren't dealing with any injury issues with, like, say, Jordan Love, if the Eagles were full strength and they were rolling as well, then you would say, yeah, this is tough. This is going to be some tough sledding. You really need to be 100% right now. But I don't think that's the case. Not to mention, this is where it's going to be really interesting. You never know, because tendinitis is definitely one of those more vague words, right? It's just like kind of like you got some inflammation, you got some pain, you're dealing with some issues. And everyone is so afraid, and rightfully so, of the Achilles tendon, because we know you tear that, it's just not a great situation to be in. So everybody is extra cautious. It's why you have Christian McCaffrey going overseas for treatment and opinions and trying to figure this out. But here's the thing. He should, unless this is just way more severe than what's being let on, he should be able to fully recover by playoffs. Because think about how you have people who tear their Achilles and get surgery and are able to recover, right? So he should, totally in theory, be able to be full strength come time playoffs. You know, he plays a couple games at the end of the season, and then boom. So the better question is, can the 49ers win a Super Bowl without Christian McCaffrey? Of course. But yes. But can the 49ers make it to the playoffs without Christian McCaffrey? And the answer is like, absolutely, of course, to me. And so then Christian McCaffrey comes. So this may end up being like a great thing in a lot of ways, because like I said, you have people who get surgery and are able to come back at the end of the season, or even in the middle of the season, depending on, what the injury is and when the injury happened, of course. And so I really firmly believe that now you're going to potentially get because Christian McCaffrey, he's a seasoned veteran, man. He is a top dog. It'll take him like a minute or two to kind of get his legs from under him, get some conditioning. But like, I truly believe that he would be able to come in week, 16, 17, whatever it may be. And he won't be a liability, right? Come time playoffs, you'll be able to rely on him, and he'll be that dog. I really do believe that. So in one way, it's kind of a good thing. It's a silver lining in a lot of ways. It really, really is, because he should be fully recovered. And there's not that risk of like, oh, well, it's surgically repaired. He's got a lot of soreness. He's got a lot of this. He's got to retry. Like, you shouldn't have some of those issues that you're usually dealing with when you really do have a true full injury. This is one of those things where he could technically play, right? I fully believe that. He could absolutely play right now. But there's the fear and the risk that it tears and gets worse, right? That's the fear. But in terms of his, most likely, his felt experience, if they said, bro, you're not going to hurt it, nothing bad's going to happen, but this is the level that you're at right now, and you got to get out, you got to play, I think he would still be able to ball out. It would be painful. It would be annoying. He would be on the sidelines being like, oh my God, this is annoying. And then after the game, he's like, I just want massages, ice, heat, sushi, and everything else, and steak, let's go, right? And ice cream and a milkshake, right? But it's like, he would still be able to deal with it. And that's why I feel as though, unless he's really having like a true chronic or some other underlying issues, it's hard for me to understand why he wouldn't be able to be full strength and be back at it come time week 15, 16, 17, or even just, the start of the playoffs. So this is an interesting storyline and definitely frustrating, right? Definitely frustrating. I wouldn't get too scared by the fact that he has it in both legs now, that it spread. That is just absolute par for the course. Anyone who's ever had any type of injury, especially lower body injury, like to a knee, if you hurt your right knee, your left hip starts to hurt, your left knee starts to hurt, your heel starts to hurt, your calf, your toes. It's just the way the body operates. It's you have that compensation, and that's why a big part of physical therapy when you're recovering is to get you back, symmetrically, to get you back to have a normal gait is what it's called, because you're walking differently, you're doing things differently, the way you get dressed and bend down to tie your shoes, to put on your socks, whatever it is, you do everything compromised, and your body just can't, it overcompensates, and eventually it just, you get these types of issues. So that's not anything too much to worry about. But it is also a sign that his body's overworked as well, right? That's a lot of times that's what tendonitis is. It's going to be overuse. It's you're demanding that your body do something, and your body's saying, yo, you're pushing me too far right now. This is too much. I can't keep up, which again is kind of a good thing in a way, that he's now getting all this time off. And really, at the end of the day, right, if you said, hey, can we have Christian McCaffrey for the regular season or full strength for the playoffs? Yeah, it's obviously a dumb question, because the answer is obviously, yeah, we want him for the playoffs. And he's the type of player that you're going to be able to just insert him into the game, boom, not miss a beat. It's going to be like, bro, it feels like we played with you this whole season. It's going to be like, this is great. So in a way, maybe actually be a good thing for the 49ers. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the 49ers and Christian McCaffrey? Can they win a Super Bowl without him? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.